Hi, this is Judy from Fox Cities Quilt Company, and this is Sunday from the Sewing Room, where we give you some tips, tricks, and a few tutorials to help you with your sewing and quilting projects. If you like our videos, please hit that subscribe button below and tell your friends. Today, we are doing a project from Shannon Fabrics called the Self-Binding Blanket, and this is what it looks like. It is so wonderful. It's a great gift. It doesn't take long, and you need just 2 pieces of fabric. You can make these in various sizes, so you can make these for kids, or you can make these for big kids. This one I am made for my husband, Tim, who is 6'2". So I use 2 pieces of cuddle that are, the backing is 2 1/4 yards long and the front is 2 yards long. So if you're making it for someone smaller or a baby, you can size it accordingly. So I want to show you how to do this. It's not hard. Don't be afraid of cuddle, and let's get started. For this project, you're going to need a few things. The first thing I'm starting with to show you is my fabric. So this is 2 pieces of cuddle. I'm going to have the top is made with the Shannon Fabrics Digital National Parks Cuddle. It has some beautiful, beautiful colors in it. And the nap is low because it's a digital print. So I have 2 yards of this digital National Parks Cuddle from Shannon Fabrics. My back is this glorious Nube graphic and black, or graphite and black luxe cuddle. It's just absolutely beautiful. And for this, I have 2 1/4 yards. I'm also going to need pins, and we're going to need lots and lots of pins. These flathead pins work the best, but I'm in short supply of them, so I'm going to also add some Taylor Seville pins to it. You will also need something to write with, and I'm just using a regular ink pen because my cuddle background is so dark that you're not going to be able to see through it, and a ruler. So let me show you how I mark the back of my cuddle. So this is my backing. I'm using that Luxe Cuddle for the backing, and I wanted to show you, you can see the selvage in there. There's a little piece of thread, but I want to flip that selvage over and see if that's going to be okay when I flip it over to sew, and I think it's going to be. If you can see holes through there, I would actually cut all of that selvage off, but I'm okay with the selvage how it is. So the first thing that I want to do is, let me twist this piece around for you. And I want to mark 4 corners. I have decided that I would like this, what we're going to do is we're basically going to make a frame. And what I've decided is I would like my frame, or that self-binding part, to be about 3 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler, and I am going to take my pen, and yes, it's an ink pen, but I'm not going to be able to see it on the back of this. And let me get this down into the area for you. And I want to find 3 inches on my ruler. And there it is right there. And so my 3 inches, I'm going to put it, I want to show you, I'm going to put it on the edge of the fabric, not on the edge of the fibers. Okay, for my 3 inches, and I will do that on the side as well. So this is the selvage side, and this is the cut side. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark 3 inches along that selvage side. And it's hard to see between the fibers and the fabric, but I have that 3-inch mark right on that fabric line and not on the fiber. And I'm just going to take my pen and I'm going to make a 3-inch mark. This ruler isn't very big. I didn't need it very big because you don't have to go down the entire side of the fabric. So there's 3 inches. And then you can see that I did that 3 inches. Then I'm going to do it on the other side, my 3 inches. And again, my 3 inches are going to go from the cut of the fabric, but not the fibers. And when I say the fibers, I mean the fuzz, or the soft part. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark another 3 inches going this way. And make sure I mark it. That didn't show up. Let me mark it again. Oh, it helps if you open your pen. I should have a blooper reel. I make so many mistakes when filming. And luckily with the power of editing, you don't have to witness those mistakes. Okay, so now you can see here that I have a square in the corner. What I want is to be able to make a frame, so I need a diagonal line, and I need a diagonal line on that 45-degree line that is on your ruler, and it will show you on your ruler that that's your 45-degree line. And I am going to, let me get this centered up, and I'm going to place that 45-degree line on either one of the lines that I have drawn. And then I'm going to go ahead and make a 45-degree line here. I want to try and make it as straight as I can and out this way. And I am going to do that on all four corners. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to fold this right sides together so that I can sew on that 45-degree line. So let me flip it this way, because I want to sew from the raw edge to the corner, okay? And I got to make sure that those are lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and stick a pin in here to make sure that I have that lined up. So if I stick it through on one side, it should come out on the line on the other if I have that lined up correctly. So there, and let's see back here. Ooh, that is pretty darn good. So that is all lined up. I'm going to go ahead and leave that pin in there. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put another pin on each side of that center pin. And I want to kind of stagger these just a little bit. So there and there, and see how I have this kind of going down. And I'm going to sew from here to here on all four corners. And I will get that sewn and come back and show you what that does. Okay, so I wanted to show you that I have my walking foot in my sewing machine. I have a polyester thread that I've threaded my machine with, and I have my stitches set to at about 3.5 millimeters. That's about the sweet spot for this. I've turned on my laser light so that you can see what I'm doing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stick this in my machine, and I want to go from the raw edge to the fold. And the reason that I want to go from the raw edge to the fold is because if there's any shifting, it won't shift unevenly, so that you don't have a nice edge on that line on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch from raw edge to fold, and we'll see how that turns out. Again, I got that laser light on so that you can see that I'm stitching on the 45-degree angle line that I've drawn. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this. And what's nice now is I can leave these in because my foot is going to go right in between them, and I will just pull that other flower pin out, and you can see I'm getting crooked here. It's hard to do this, hold camera and sew at the same time. And then we're going to go right across there. I'm going to cut that thread, and I want to show you what those stitches look like. I'm a little crooked, but it's going to be okay. And then when I turn this right side out, I will have a nice 45-degree angle fold. It's hard to see right now, but let me do the other four corners. I'm going to do the other four corners, and then I will show you how to get the top of the quilt into this self-binding or this frame that you have made. All right, so I've done all four corners, and I made sure that it comes out and it looks like a frame. And then what I did was, when I sewed on that 45-degree angle, I went ahead and cut that off to about a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So now I'm out on my dining room table, and I have got this all folded out like a frame. And so now don't forget, this was 2¼ yards of fabric. This is 2 yards of fabric, and what I've done is I have cut off some of the width, about 6 inches, because our frame is 3 inches. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and I'm just going to tuck this in, but I'm going to use my ruler also, because remember I wanted a 3-inch frame. And I'm going to come right in here and make sure that everything is 3 inches, and it's right there, 3 inches. So I'm going to go all the way around, and let me show you how I'm pinning this. I am going to pin this, and I have to be careful because I don't want to get my dining room table. I am going to pin this the same way that I would sew it, so I'm going to actually pin from this direction. Now I have to think about that, because that will go into my sewing machine. And then I'm going to stagger these pins. So can you see how I've staggered those pins? So this will go into my sewing machine. And I want to be able to stagger those pins. It's really hard to see because this fabric is so plush, so that there's no shifting. And I am going to do that all the way down, checking my measurement of 3 inches as I go. And there is 3 inches. And then I'm just going to keep pinning. Again, I got to remember the correct way. And I know it's really hard to see those pins because it is so plush. But when I'm going down, when I go to sew this, I will be able now to pull those pins out as I go. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to, and I'm not going to bore you with this, but I'm going to measure and pin all the way down and all the way around 4 sides of this blanket, tucking the top in as I go. Before you do all of that pinning, make sure that you pet your fabric. And so if all the nap is going this way, and you can see the difference, then the back, you want it to be the same way. You want all the nap going this way. See how this is up and this is down, and this is up. You can see the fabric, and this is down. So make sure everything is going in the same direction. Tuck your fabric in. Don't worry that it's not so crooked, because you're not going to see the edges, and pin all the way around. Okay, so I just wanted to quick show you. I do have this pinned on 3 sides. I wanted to show you how nice and flat it's laying. And I got the top pinned, and I am on my last side of my self-binding blanket. And oh my gosh, this is going to be so, so pretty. But I wanted to show you what this looks like as I'm going along. Again, I'm just tucking in those edges, and you won't be able to see any raw edges at all. I've measured 3 inches all the way around, and I just wanted to show you where this is at. Now, I ran out of those nice flower pins, so I am trying this new pin. This is the Taylor Seville Magic Pins. This is their fork pin. And you know what? I'm really loving these, because here they are sticking up, and they stick up nicely, and they have a fork in them, so that's going to help hold the fabric even better. But I wanted to give you what it looks like when I'm almost done. I have that laying up there because that's my pin cushion. I have that laying up there because I measured this to 3 inches and I wanted it to stay. But here is the update. We're almost ready for the sewing machine. I'm so excited because this really is so beautiful. Okay, so I'm back at my sewing machine, and I have my walking foot in with a polyester thread, and I am going to select this serpentine stitch to sew the edge of my minky or of my cuddle blanket. So I'm going to have that exactly like this shows, right on the edge, and it's going to just do a nice serpentine stitch around it. I have my settings at 3.5 millimeter, and the width, I think that the width could be let's see here, and it kind of shows me on my machine. I like that width. I'm going to go with a 5.75, and you can see what it's going to look like on my self-binding blanket. The reason that I'm not worried about that so much is because Cuddle doesn't fray. So it's going to be absolutely fine in there. Let me get this camera set back up here so you can see what I'm doing here. And so I am going to start on a corner, and this is the corner of my self-binding blanket. And as you can see, the heads of the pins are towards me so that I can pull them out as I go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick that right under there. And then one of my other favorite tools, let me see if I can get this at a better angle for you. Pardon the up and down. And we're just a small shop here with not a big production department. And the other thing that I like very much to use is this by Annie Stiletto. So I am going to take my foot and put it down, and I am going to do that serpentine stitch on the edge so that I am catching the edge of my Cuddle. Let me lift this up for you. And the edge of the center of my blanket. So the edge of the Cuddle and the edge of the center of my blanket. And I am going to go and sew all 4 sides of this Cuddle blanket. But I'm going to pull the pins out as I go. You know, I tell everybody, pins are pedestrians. Do not run them over. Okay, so I'm going to get this in here and I'm going to start sewing. All right, so I've come to my corner here, and you can see that this is where I will turn. If I can pull this down. So I'm just going to keep stitching, and I'm going to go ahead and stitch, and I am using my stylus to help me get that through. And then I'm just going to keep on stitching, and then when I get a little ways in, I am going to leave my needle down, and I am going to turn my fabric, and then I am just going to keep going right down the side, and I'm going to do this for all 4 sides and all 4 corners. Okay, yay, I have gone all the way around. Here are my corners, and I want you to be able to see that serpentine stitch. Can you see that in there? And then I want to show you the back as well. And everything is laying, you can barely see it, it almost looks embossed. And everything is laying nice and flat. There's one last thing I want to do. So you can see the fibers are kind of mushed down. I'm just going to take my stylus and I'm just going to give it a little fluff so that I can pull those fibers out of there. And just a little bit with my point, because I want it to just look like it's a frame and not really mushed. And you see how that stylus just takes those fibers and makes them stand up really nicely. And I'm going to go all the way around my self-binding blanket and do that. And I'm just going to do a little more so you can kind of see how that stylus makes those fibers stand up really nice, especially right there. And look at, you can barely see that anymore. Isn't that wonderful? And I'm just going to go and fluff those fibers up. Okay, so I'm all done, and I really, really like this. This is the side. Let me see if I can pull this out. You're not going to be able to see a whole lot of it, but here's the side, and I want to show you the back. Isn't that gorgeous? It is so pretty. And then up and down, and then here is the front. I don't know if this is, oh, this is wrong side. So let's turn it over so you can see the full effect. Here you go. Isn't that pretty? Again, I just wanted to show you that this is not a difficult project. This literally took me, including, you know, editing the video, I had this done in about an hour and a half, so that's not bad. And that includes all the pinning, but it is so yummy. It is so wonderful. And I happen to have made this one for my husband, Tim. So this is Judy from Fox Cities Quilt Company. This is the Shannon Fabrics self-binding blanket. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.